that. Um, and hopefully they get it. But I did drop it in the chat, so we'll just mention it a couple of times throughout the stream. Hello, Arpane, how are you?
Hello, how you doing?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining us. We literally just started.
I know.
Um, I didn't delegate the links correctly, so we may have some people that are joining who are going to be a little late. And some people that are holding it down tonight. We're talking about to have and to hold. So I'm glad that you're here, Arpane, Hank. I'm so glad that you guys are here. I really do appreciate you guys every single time you come up to the panel and give your wisdom and your perspective because we here to gain understanding. Okay. So there are a series of text messages I have up here. I don't know if either one of y'all want to, be my, my wingman, but and go back and forth. There are some curse words in the text messages. According to YouTube, we can't be saying them bleep beep 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 them for the words. So when you see it, just make up your own word or get creative. Okay. Um, but who would like to volunteer?
Brother Payne, since you on camera, I think it'll work better, man. I need
Okay.
I
What
need
do
to
we got
finish.
to read? What do we have to do with the test message? Read them?
All right,
I need I
I'm
need to
gonna
finish
put
my
it.
nourishment.
Did he say he need to finish his hair?
No, my nourishment. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, I said,
No,
I was
I ain't got
saying
enough
so
for her
you
to
make
do
it
something with.
visible. It's school when they don't want to
No,
read.
Well, I'm your
All right,
Huckleberry.
can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so there's 4 pages of this, right? And
Oh
it's a
my
couple
goodness.
going back and forth. They're not married. And again, tonight's live stream is about to have and to hold. So that's going to be across the whole span of relationships, but especially in marriage. But I wanted to read these messages because this is a relationship and they're not married, but there are indications and signs before you get married that someone is not suitable to be married to you. So we're going to go back and forth. You're actually green, Arpane, okay? So
Okay.
I'm going to start off. Remember, get creative when you see them 4-letter words now.
Okay.
All right. Good morning.
Morning.
What are you doing?
Going to the cemetery. Remember, I told you today is the anniversary of my pop's passing.
Oh, snap. I'm sorry, Kel. My boss invited me to a work dinner for 7 tonight with a big client. Can you come?
Sorry, I'm sorry. I can't, love. I'm not there mentally, and I don't feel like putting on a fake face. I'm depressed.
I know you're sad, but he's in a better place. Getting out will do you good. I can't go to this dinner alone.
I guess that's still you, right?
Wait, you know what? Let me see something here. Nope, that's right. Wow. Effing wow. You're not sick though. You're being selfish as F right now. I am in the running for a promotion after 3 years. I'm being invited to a big dinner meeting. You're depressed over something you cannot change. Your dad is gone. He ain't coming back. You being depressed is a choice. I would do this for you. This is all the way effed up.
Did you really just say that to me? I can't believe you said that to me. You're evil. I'm not going. I'm not going. And you know, slough off.
You slough off. You're a 43-year-old man depressed over something you can't control. I asked nicely. You know how much this means to me, and you put me on the back burner. I'm being good. I've been good to you this whole time. Never asked you for nothing. So F you.
You never once asked me, was I okay? Or was there anything you could do? It was all about your promotion chances. I hope you don't get it. I hope you don't get S. Don't text me no more, clown.
Oh, trust. This the last time I'm texting your crybaby behind. All
I'm
right.
telling you. Okay, that's it. Okay.
So I wanted to read those messages because again, this is between a couple. They're not married, but they're going through some things, right? So what do you guys think is going on between the couple in those messages?
You want to go first, King? Okay.
Well, sounds like man, he got an individualistic type woman is what he got, man. Truth be told, I mean, regardless of even if it's been 20 years since his father passed, if that still affects him like that, you got to be sensitive to that. You know, death is forever, right? He's never going to come back. We know that. We understand that. But at the same time, you never truly understand the dynamic a man has a relationship with his father. You know, sound like they had a real close and good relationship. And so he wants to honor that and continue to honor that until he's moved on. I don't see it as a problem. I don't see that as a problem. It shows he's a great man who respects his father that much, and sound like his father was a good man, and she could be possibly pissing her way off to a good husband someday, just because she's in her individual mindset. Now, look, if she decides she don't want to go and he's okay with her not going and go ahead to the promotion dinner by herself, then go ahead and do it, and don't stay long. Let me say that. Don't stay long. You know, eat your food, and you know, try to have limited little small talk that's going to have you stay there maybe a half an hour longer than you probably need to be. Try to get home as soon as possible so you can be there for your man when he does come home. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying miss the dinner completely, but you know, keep it, you know, keep it cordial, but keep it kind of brief if all possible, and let the people know, hey, you know, unfortunately my man is going through some time. He's going through some tough times, and he lost his father in his anniversary. You know, I'm not gonna stay long, guys, but I do want to make sure I show my face in a place and let them know I am serious about this opportunity and I appreciate it. But you know, I'm gonna cut it short tonight. I'm gonna have a drink with you guys. You know, we're gonna talk. We're gonna cut it up. You know what I'm saying, and engage. But then I'm gonna cut out because I feel like I need to get home to him.
I like that. I respect that. Seems pretty practical to me.
Well, you know, I think there's a lack of accountability on both sides, and I think we flipped the script, right? In terms of who was the man and who was the woman. I think both lacked a little understanding because it's clear that if one is bereaving and the other one has a conflict to go to that dinner, I would have just said, okay, I'll go alone. And I'll just tell people because they all would understand that my significant other is grieving a loss. Now, the
Right.
fact that the one person never asked, well, how are you feeling about the loss, about this anniversary? It's I think on both sides. So this thing is going to break up soon. You know, because you know, I don't want to use the word trust, but there's a lack of something on both parts. And as quickly as that escalated to talking about cursing at each other, that's a pretty bad sign.
Right.
You know, so yeah, the only thing I'm thinking about is how good I was reading the script. I'm saying, wow, you know, I
You
might,
did a really good job, Arcane. Thank you
you know,
so
what am
much.
I
I really appreciate
doing?
you. Thank you.
Don't lie to that man. He sound like a damn robot.
No, he did a good job. It was spare the moment. You know, public speaking is one of the number one fears for people. So I really appreciate when you guys get up here and do your thing because everybody can't do it. Okay, so
That's right. I'm thinking about skipping words and mispronouncing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yeah, it's
Hey,
fun.
I thought all pain was AI. I didn't know who it was.
I was ChatGPT, man. That's for sure. I was trying to do I should have just started doing the robot.
You gonna do the robot dance? Is that what you gonna do, all pain?
Anyway,
Thank you,
I think there's some lack on both sides. I really do.
Okay.
There's not no way of moving forward on that one.
Welcome
What's
to
up,
the panel, Mandrell. How are you?
How are you, Precious? I'm well. Thank you for having
I'm
me.
good, thank you. No problem. Thank you for being here. So did you want to, answer that? Did you want to go in on that? Did you hear what? Did you hear us?
I did. for the most part. And
Okay.
I mean, I missed the very, very beginning of it, but the rest of it I heard. And it doesn't sound like
Okay.
they're a couple. I
Mm.
didn't even know they were a couple until you said so. You know, one's calling one's a crybaby, the other one's calling the other one another something else. I'm just like, what couple? And you said, yeah, so this is a couple. In my mind, I'm like, what couple talks to each other like that? You
A lot.
know,
What you mean? What you mean? A lot of couples talk to each other like that. So we got to be real. This is the real Precious. You
okay.
got to be
Well,
real. A lot of couples talk to each other like that.
okay.
Who do you
Here's the
think is
thing. Well, maybe that's why my relationships. No, that's why I haven't been married yet, because that kind of stuff I don't tolerate. Like even in the beginning, you're
So
not even
has it
gonna.
been a lot?
You're
Has
not
it
even
been a
gonna
lot of
start.
women that
No,
have been like that?
no. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I just hadn't come across many women that, and just say nothing to dating them, that talk to me that way. It's just like, no, we're not going to do that.
Right.
Now I've had to chin check some. Like, hey, listen,
Not chin check.
yeah, listen, fun and games. I'm all for it. Let's laugh, joke with each other. I'm all for that all day long. But we ain't gonna talk to each other like that. You know,
Right.
and that's all it
That's
takes.
understandable. That's the end result. You don't want to be talked to like that. But
Right.
when you're dealing with death, and you're dealing with money, right? And so
Right.
those are two dynamics that you get to see, people's true colors, you get to see emotions that are heightened. And so no one should be talked to like that. But I think
Mhm.
that when that does occur, that's a red flag. That
It
I
is
think
very much
RP said
so.
it.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
red
RP is
flag.
correct. Yeah. So in this situation, to me, I think it is on the guy to set, of course, set tone and come up with compromises when you're at an impasse in the
Mhm.
relationship. I want to go this way, you want to go that way. So, okay, as the man, you think, okay, hold on, which would be better suited for us? You know what I mean? Okay, I'm dealing with my dad's death and all that stuff. It's the anniversary. Got it. But as a man, some stuff you just got to suck up and drive on. So my lady just got a promotion or whatever. Let me go and support her, and I can go and grieve on my own afterwards. You know what I mean? And like he said, you don't have to stay long. Just tell her, hey, this time of year I'm going through this and the other. So let's get there. Let's not stay long. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to deal with my stuff too. But I'm gonna go with you to support you.
Mhm.
You know, and then you go upstairs, you shower, throw on some cologne, throw on a nice suit. You go to this dinner with her, and go in there and try your best to have a good time. To keep your
Yeah.
mind off to keep your mind off of grieving for your father's death or whatever. Try your best to go out there and have a good time. Don't be a lump on
Mhm.
the log, and don't sit there and look with all brooding all night. You know.
Yeah, I think that's easier said than done. I think the actual King Smith, I forget what day it is or what the purpose of the day is, but I remember him saying that he takes off on that day. Like he does nothing on that day. And I forget what the reason is. But if someone is grieving, and especially a man, in my belief, when a man is grieving, you can't tell him, let's go here, we're gonna go here, we're gonna do this. Now, of course, it's she's getting a promotion, but at the same time, I think what Hank was saying was, if she goes, she's gonna go get this promotion or go to this dinner, let it be known my husband is grieving.
I'm not with that, Precious. I mean, I don't let people in my business like that. That's why for me, and I'm only speaking personally. That's it,
Mhm.
just from my perspective, because I've had to do things similar to this, and no one was ever the wiser. You suck up, you drive on, you go in there, have a good time, and once it's all done, if it's still affecting me, I go off to my. And the way I grieve is, I'm just
You
not used
saying
to
have a
people being
good
around.
time and grieving.
No, have a good time at the place that you are. What I'm saying is, you sequester off the pain.
Mhm.
To stay in the moment. At the moment, you're at your significant other's celebration for a
Mhm.
promotion. So yeah, the pain is going to be there. The feeling of loss is going to be there, but you don't let it overtake you at the expense of the moment. You stay in the moment.
Mhm.
and focus on that as much as you possibly can. Now, if you need to go in the bathroom and let some of it go for about 3 minutes, take your 3 minutes, dust yourself off, dry your eyes, get back out there and get at it,
Mhm.
And that's the way it is. That's the part of the resilience of being masculine. Sucking it up and driving on and never crying, never dealing with it, that's not masculinity. That's just creating a bigger problem, because it's going to deal with you if you don't deal with it. And so, yeah, grieving is important. But, yeah, go support the lady. Again, like Hank said, you ain't got to sit alone. Just go there, show support, show your face. Hello, how you doing?
Mhm.
Eat your little cocktails or whatever they are. Engage with people, be social. And then
Oh,
you go
no,
home.
like,
About 2 hours into it, leave, go
I
home.
think I think, yeah, Michael, I'm agreeing with you. I agree with Michael. Michael said, Mandrell, you're a military guy. We cope different with death. Civilians have not
Yeah,
seen what we've seen, what we have. And I think that you're hitting on something there, because,
I think so too. Because
it,
people die in my book.
men
That's
are
just, I'm like,
men, men are men, but it doesn't mean that when they grieve, they're less of a man. So I think seeing death may put you in a different category of a man, and it allows you to, you know, process that a little bit differently than someone who has lost someone. Like, you may or may not know these people that you've seen lose their life.
some of them I
These
did. Some of them were very close.
Right.
And I went through all of that, right? Nearly 4 straight years of nothing but hell on earth. I get out of the Army. I get home 2 weeks later, out of nowhere and for no reason, my dad dies in his truck on the interstate on his way to church.
Mhm. And how did you
Just
grieve that?
done. Oh, he's gone. That sucks. Okay,
Andrew,
so let me go get the birth certificate. Let me go get the death certificate. Let me go get this taken care of. Let me get that taken care of. Let me get the funeral arrangements taken care of. Ma, you okay? Ma, what else you need me to take care of? No, Ma, give me the list. Give me a list of stuff you need me to take care of. Thank you very much. Go sit down. I got this. You know what I'm saying? So I just made sure everything was taken care of, his funeral arrangements and everything, and got the word out that he passed. And it looked like 1 million people was at his funeral. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I didn't know it's that gonna be that big of a deal, but I mean, I was like, I got to the funeral, I said, holy shit. Like I said, the mayor was there, spoke to it and everything. I was really impressed with him, in his passing. It was really impressive. But yeah, I mean, as far as dealing with it, did I cry about it? Yeah, I'll say about 3 times. Not at the funeral though. Like, I think about 3 days later, it actually hit me, and I was sitting there talking to my uncle, and I said, hey man, be right back. I went in the bathroom, and it was like uncontrollable. It just can't just pour it out. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I couldn't stop it, no matter how much I tried. And like a year later, it happened again. I'm at home by myself, and it just happened again at night. No rhyme, no reason. So I'm thinking about the old man,
So
and
you were by yourself. What if you had a woman who had a promotion on that day? What would you have done?
I would have let it out earlier that day. Especially if I knew she had this thing going on.
Mhm.
Okay, at least the celebration and stuff like that. That'll keep my mind off of it. That'll keep it, kind of give me something to focus on. You know what I mean? Like, for example, take the picture behind me, right? You see a light in the middle. And so
Mhm.
imagine the brain and the light and everything is all of the stress of losing that loved one going on around me. But the party is a small little light right here. I can focus on that and kind of drown out the rest of it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the objective would be. I try to let it out earlier if I could, but it's one of those things you have to be able to partition off pain and suffering and deal with it later. And I give it to you, you and the brother in the chat from the military. Yeah, the military will do that to you, especially when you're used to seeing it like that, so much of it, and having it right in your face. You do process it differently. You absolutely do. So I
But
give
even
it
if
to
you
us.
weren't,
We do have an advantage in that regard, but
but Mandro, even if you weren't in the military, You know, and
Mhm.
some people live a more hardened life than others. I just
Yeah,
think you can't put a governor on the way people grieve. You just can't.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm just offering
I'm not
an
saying, wait, hold
alternative.
on.
That's all.
I'm not saying you are, because I don't have anything wrong with the way you handled it. I might have handled it the same way. Just like Easy Money's in the chat saying he had a similar experience, you know, about, you know, his father dying and he had to do something with his wife. Yeah, you know, so I can see that happening. So, but regardless if the guy went or not, or the woman wanting him to come or not, just the way they talk to each other was wrong. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly. That's one thing. Like I said, I didn't even know there was a couple until Precious said so. I'm like, what couple? And Precious like this happens in real life. I'm like, where?
But
Like,
I have another.
I've never had a relationship where we talk to each other like that. Again, like if someone's getting to the point where they're getting to the disrespectful part, like, hold on, slow down. What we're not gonna do is talk to each other like that. I'm not gonna talk to you like that. You're not gonna talk to me like that. Slow down. So
Yeah,
let's just slow this down and think before we speak. I'm not a child. Didn't say you were. I just said you're not gonna talk to me like that.
yeah. So yeah, so that was the way.
And never had a problem again. You know what I'm saying? Never had the problem again. So I get
Right.
clearly this guy let this stuff go on too long, I guess. Or he's okay with it. I don't know. Different people, different standards, I guess. What's up, Mr. Harris?
Well, condolences to your father, Mindra. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I don't like to
that's,
hear things like that, but I
Yeah,
appreciate you for sharing that.
no
Welcome
problem.
to the panel, Mr. He said. How are you this evening, sir?
All is well, all is well. Thank you for having me. Hey, Precious. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
hey,
Him,
what's going on?
Ping,
What's
Mr. Harris.
all
How
right?
y'all doing?
We just got finished reading some text messages. We're not going to go back because we're going to go forward. But before we do, I want to play this little video. And some of you may have seen a bit of it, but I wanted to play this and then get into our show for the evening. So they've been together for 15 years. So them vows had some dust on them. Okay. Them vows had some dust on them, but she was a good sport. She was a
That's
good
funny.
sport.
That's funny.
She said, I'm gonna marry you, but I'm gonna let you know I done had these things written out for a long time now. Okay. And so again, we're getting into to have and to hold. So basic vows, because some people write their own vows. But basic vows. Who wants to be another volunteer? This is going to be such a collaborative experience tonight. I need another volunteer. Who wants to volunteer?
What's this, improv? Oh, I'm with
Yes.
this.
I'll do it this
Yes.
Yeah,
time.
oh, I'm with this.
You want to
Oh,
do this
okay,
time,
Hank
Hank?
got it. Yeah.
All right, Hank. I, Precious, take thee, Hank, to be my now. No disrespect to the missus. You know, we're gonna have to put that out there because I'm a respectful woman, okay? But this is just improv, all right? I, Precious, take thee, Hank, to be my lawful wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do us part. And so the first vow is to have and to hold from this day forward. So the first question I wanted to ask you guys is, what is the difference between the act of marriage and the vow?
What's the difference?
What is the difference between the act of marriage versus the vow?
Well, I mean, I guess the difference is the one's the action, one's just talk. You know, I mean, you gotta if you're gonna speak, you better do. That's what I'm expect from the person who I'm in a relationship with. You know what I'm saying? Don't talk about it, be about it. You know.
Okay.
You want me to go? I'll go next.
Go ahead, RK.
Right. Let me put it to you this way. I believe that once a woman accepts a marriage proposal, she says she wants to marry you, everything you guys agree to after the marriage proposal is a vow, right? Everything. It's like, once your Miranda rights are read, everything you say can be used in a court of law. I believe that she says yes, everything you say to each other, what you're going to do, how you're going to perform, how you're going to share money, how you're going to raise your kids, all those discussions become part of the vow. And the
Mhm.
vow is just the icing on the cake. And one of the reasons, the difference between how people act and the vow is people don't believe the vows.
Mm.
People actually just say it they just say, oh, it's something to do, as opposed to something to live by with your significant other. And that's one of the biggest issues with marriage. People do not take the vows seriously. All the things that they agree with on getting to the matrimonial. So that's my thing in my head, that everything you say to each other, every agreement after the engagement is a vow. So let me just leave
I
that
like
there.
that you said that because in the vow it says from this day forward, right? So from this day forward, this is what we're gonna do. So that's literally acknowledging the vows. Mr. You say you want to go next?
Yeah, that was absolutely right. The only thing I would add is that one is dead and one is living. I think the words are
Mm.
dead until you bring them to life, and the living organism is the acts. That's living out those vows, showing them every day. And I think that's, like you guys are alluding to, what people lose sight of. Tuesday and Wednesday. I think they only think about the when they say richer or poorer, they only really thinking about richer. They ain't really concentrating or really putting
We
their
gonna
thought
get to that one.
into if things go down right. It's like richer or more richer or boss, richer or you know
Mhm.
couple goals or whatever it is. But how people always move the goalposts, and this is
Right.
exactly why we set up the way we are now, so people can talk like that, make up their own vows or whatever. But I think that the axe is everyday living, breathing organism. It changes, it grows, and if you don't feed it that photosynthesis, that light, that water, that air, it's not going to get what it needs to grow. So one is dead and one is living, in my opinion.
Okay. Mandro?
Um, I've never been married before, so I'm going to defer to the two married gentlemen. I do respect both of them. Our pain, even though our pain and not but his, I do respect our pain, people. Yes, I do. Especially Mr. Harris, I respect him a great deal. But uh, I know what I want my marriage to look like. I know what I want to be in a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people, y'all can call me whatever you want, but if I'm married to a woman, that means that everything I do revolves around her. The way I move, what I think about, the way I think, it revolves around her.
Is she the light?
Yeah.
Okay.
All
I'm
the
just
rest of it is
kidding.
all the rest of it, it's just good one. Good one, yeah. But yeah,
I'm,
that's pretty much what it
I'm
is. Yeah,
listening.
pretty much what it
I'm
is. Yeah.
listening.
That's the focal point. The focal point is the wife and whatever kids we have. It has to be that way on my end. If
Mm.
I'm to be the leader, if I'm to be the head of the relationship, if you're not ready for that, gentlemen, I don't think you should be married. She should be that way about you as well and the kids. Yeah, that way you can work as a cohesive team.
Mm.
But how I want to be in a marriage, yeah, I have to be all about her. Period. I want to go. I want to go to Thailand. Well, I got to consider her. Does she want to go? Does she have the time at work to take off to go? You know what I'm saying? Do we as a collective have the finances to fund that kind of a campaign? Everything. I want to buy a new car. I consider her too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to consider your significant other through everything. Am I willing to die for this woman? Do I want to live for this woman? We say these words, but I don't think people really put thought into it. I do, especially these days. I put a lot of thought into it, and I have to ask myself some real questions. Is that something I want for my life? You know what I mean? And yes. So I guess I'm ready in that regard, but there's a lot more to marriage that I'm learning from other people. Just y'all don't know I watch and listen to y'all. but I do. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And I pick up that. Yeah, and I pick up on things. I sit here and use. Yeah, like I said, I
No,
haven't
but
been married.
this is exactly why we have these conversations, because like you said, you're not married. However,
Mhm.
I believe those who want to be married should take, you know, the counsel, the advice,
Absolutely.
at least hear the perspective of someone who is married. You may not agree. You may not you know, hold everything dear to it may not apply to you.
Mhm.
But if that's what you want to be, why wouldn't you hang out, gain the knowledge, perspective of those who are already there? So that's why I wanted to have these conversations, this series, this wedding vow series. And, you know, I appreciate the married men and even the men who are in committed relationships who do want to be married to have the conversation, because maybe you have some thoughts in your head that they're answering and you don't even, you know, you didn't even ask a question.
Yeah,
I think
and
a
you
lot of
realize that.
people watch
Yeah,
and they can relate. So, you know, you can still speak on it. I think that the difference between the act of marriage versus the vow is, you know, anybody can act married. You know, you can, people shack up for years. They live together. They, you know, even take care of each other's kids, but they're not married. You know, they don't have a vow that they're living by. They don't have a set of rules. They don't have a standard
well,
that they're living by.
they do, and it's just they're not legally. So, see, in my eyes, people like that, they're married. It's just not
Mhm,
legal yet.
mhm,
But if you're living with each other and supporting each other like that, was you do have standards, you do have your boundaries that neither one of them cross.
mhm,
I told Mr. Harris flat out, him and his wife, the kind of marriage I see them have here, that's what I want. I want that,
mhm,
the kind of marriage they got. You know what I'm saying? I've
mhm,
told him and his wife that flat out. I mean, it's an inspiration to watch them two work together. And
mhm,
I think they don't get a lot of credit that they deserve. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that like even before you get married, in my opinion, you should be, by all rights and purposes, you should be married before you actually make it legal. It would be silly not to. Like, how do you know if you can stand being around that person that much? Like, why would you not live with someone? I know people are against shacking up, but how do you know that you can handle that person's habits 24/7 unless
I
you've been in that
I think that
situation?
there's a difference between using wisdom and moving in a certain way with someone, and a difference of settling and not wanting to do the work or commit
Right.
to the commitment of being with someone. There's a difference. There's a difference. If you know you're not supposed to be with this person, yet you with them for convenience,
Yeah, that
then
kind
you're
of stuff.
wrong.
Yeah.
You know, you're really not bringing yourself, you're wrong. But there are people who do act married. There are a lot of people, you know, that don't believe in marriage, and to each his own, right?
Hmm.
But there are a lot of people that say, like she said, I haven't asked you for anything. I haven't done this or that. But when you're in a marriage, you are going to have and hold the other person. And it may not always look the way you want it to look, but that's why you have these conversations when those things come up. It's like, would you do this? I want to know how you think about this, because we don't know what's going to happen in life. But the vow is, I'm committed to being there for you. I'm committed to doing this.
Yeah.
So,
And also I think also the vow is not only to that person, but to the relationship itself.
right.
Like you're committed
To
to
the kids, to
coupling. Yeah,
everybody. It's
yeah,
not
you're
just
committed to coupling with that person, meaning I'm committed to being with you through thick and thin. You know what I'm saying? No matter what. Now that doesn't mean you get reckless and do whatever you like just because you know the
right.
person's gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? No, that's disrespect. You're dishonoring the vow then. You know what I'm saying? So then the vow's broken. And once the vow's broken, all bets are off.
Hmm.
You know, so yeah, I think people overlook that part too. They think it's just for the person. It's like, no, the overall agenda is to be together. Is you commit to that as well, you know? And like you said, when you bring in kids in the matter, what kind of environment you want to bring your kids up to? You're committed to that as well. That's an agenda to create a stable and non-toxic environment for children. You know, you committed to that agenda as well as the agenda that you have between one another.
Right. So what do you think of when you hear to have and to hold? Because people will say they vows and everybody in the audience is hearing it, but it's not meaning what it's meaning to you. So I'm gonna go to Mr. He said, what do you think about to have and to hold, and what did it mean to you when was that a part of your vows? When because some people make up their own vows, so was that a part of
Nah,
your
we
vows?
had
I look, I don't
we
want to be
had
disrespectful.
traditional
I don't
vows.
know. Vows are
I hear
different
you.
everywhere.
I hear
So
you. Now we had traditional vows.
okay,
We got married with a Bible. My wife
okay.
is Christian. I practice Muslim faith, but we got married with a Christian Bible. And to have and to hold was definitely the wording that they chose. And for me, that just means to get and keep a woman.
Ooh, you better tell them.
I mean, I'm from a place where long relationships, kind of the dishonorable ones were. The dishonest didn't make an honorable woman out of her, didn't make an honest woman out of her. They lived shacked up for 20 something years, but it was always that je ne sais quoi, person is standing next to somebody for over 10, 15 years. They kept them for a reason. This is the only place where it's the bizarro inverse of it, that if you see somebody with 25 years, they say, well, you don't know what it's like when they close the door. And nah, we don't do that where I'm from. They've been
Right.
together 25 years, they're satisfying each other on some level. Now
Some
there may
levels,
be
right.
some discourses, of course, because every relationship has ups and downs, but a grown man and a grown woman together for a number of years is that's solidified. And I think I always, kept that near and dear to me, that
Mhm.
showing that you can get a person and keep a person is way more attractive than having a new person every year. And I don't know why that girl never came to see you twice. In Bed-Stuy, it's just something we point out, that young lady, she came over once. She was nice. We met her, but she never came back. Why? That's on you. Either your
For
room was
sure.
dirty or your game was off or something didn't click. But we only seen her once. So I think long lasting relationships show that you have discipline. You know what
Mhm.
commitment is, you know what sacrifice is. It just shows a lot of different
Mm.
different characteristics. And to have and to hold, to me, just meant to get and keep a woman. And like I said, I'm always just trying to show somebody that I appreciate them. So that's what it was for me.
Okay. Our pain, what do you think of when you hear to have and to hold? And was that a part of your vows? What did it mean
Yeah,
to you?
yes, it was. So we had traditional vows. I mean, it's
O
to me, the only change I would say was for us that to keep each other, to have and
mhm,
for to hold, to keep each other, and I mean the whole vows. I mean, if you look at all the different religious sects, they all their vows are kind of similar. All the Christian ones, they all have the same kind of similar words in it. The
mhm,
unfortunate part is that modern times took the word obey, you know, and I guess the Christian sects agree with that. So that's probably one of their first steps into the madness that the church is dealing with today. They accept everything
mm,
going. So, but it means that we're going to keep each other through whatever the thick and thin is,
mhm,
uh, and we're going to go over things that disturb us as a give and take. And your leadership doesn't mean that every time that you acquiesce to your wife doesn't mean that you're not the leader. It means that you can grow. I mean, I have an
right.
example. I used to curse a lot more. I used to curse. So when I talk to my wife,
Really? You used to
oh
be
man,
saying them 4-letter words, Arvane? I
well,
can't
I
I
curse like
can't
a
even
sailor.
imagine it.
Oh yeah, okay. I curse like a sailor. So when we talk and I wanted her to do stuff, I'd drop an F bomb here and an F bomb there. She couldn't take that. And even if we had a dispute and I was correct, as soon as I dropped the first F bomb, she closed down.
Mm,
So I had to say, okay, I'm gonna get you. Right. So
yeah.
we don't get into major arguments. So one time we were going back and forth and I kept my tone low, no cursing. And she actually got mad at me, said, I know what you're trying to do. You're not cursing, so I can move, so I can shut you down. I said, that's right. I'm not cursing. You need to hear what I'm saying. So
Right.
so I learned. And I think I became better when we
Mhm,
deal with so I didn't feel attacked in my mess on it. I was growing up. This is how I'm gonna treat my woman because she doesn't curse at all. She's real Christian and all that. So that's one of the examples of learning and being able to say, okay, I can make our communication better by
Right.
changing the tone and the way I talk to my wife, and I didn't have any issue doing that. You know,
Okay.
so and we need to do that. And there's other things that she had to do for me and all that kind of stuff. You know, you just keep moving, and that's part of having the whole and learning and growing. And you know, year after year, and all of a sudden it's like 36 years in, you know, and we just
All of a sudden, all of a sudden.
all of a sudden, I'm telling all of a sudden. Anyway, that's it.
I need that stars sound effect.
And years go by
Hank,
fast.
what about you? What about you, Hank? What do you think about when you hear to have and to hold? And what does that mean to you?
Oh well, shit. That means to me that means to have sex.
Look, I mean, I was wondering,
No, that's
you
right.
know, I was wondering when a guy was gonna say it.
I
I'm
mean,
just
for
waiting.
me to have that woman, and she likes to hold and cuddle. We'll spoon afterwards. I ain't gonna do it too long because I gotta be ready to go to bed. But you know what I mean, though. You know what I mean. But that's what it means to me.
That's a good one.
He said that's what it means to me. Yeah, so that is definitely a part of to have and to hold, right? I think that's the obvious answer. But I'm glad you guys took the deeper route. I'm glad that y'all love y'all wives so much that y'all wanted to give that deep. No, I'm just kidding, because we need it all. But usually that is the very surface meaning of to have and to hold. And even that, so even being on that subject, right? You're with someone for years, and our pain, I ain't trying to be in your bedroom now, but I'm just saying it's been a while since y'all been together. And sometimes to have and to hold physically gets old. So you have to renew, you have to figure out different things or different ways to please each other, and commit to that vow. Because you have a lot of people who don't do that, and it's not even time or age or anything, but they stop committing to the vow of to having and to hold their spouse.
I have one for that too. I do. Because we leave the house, we go somewhere else. Because our house has been, just part of our ambient dynamic. So it's easier to get into that old role. So we'll go to a hotel, we'll do something, we'll get out, bring our little goodie bags and stuff, and wine and all that. Room service. Huh?
I said, put the kids to sleep. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but we go out and do
we
that.
going to the hotel.
It's the funny thing is, I told my wife this, and it's a joke. I said, I'm still paying for it. To have fun, I gotta drop a bag. To have fun with you, my wife, I'm still dropping the bag. But we have
pay for it.
I'm still paying. I said,
it sound so vulgar.
Talk about it, our opinion. Talk about it.
The point is, getting out of the environment, she gets relaxed. It's a different, you could just fix it up and you just get out of what you're doing on a daily basis when you come home from, she's still working.
Right.
There's always stuff to do around the house and you're thinking about those kind of things. So, we don't have to always leave, but it makes it just changes,
He said, I ain't dropping a bag every weekend now. You're going to have to get used to this bedroom. Okay.
You know what? Put this on, honey. Put this on, you don't have to go. We don't have to go nowhere. Just
red light on. Put the green light on.
Yeah, I said, hey, you know what? I gained some weight. If you want me to turn the light off, I'll do it. So.
Right. Go ahead, Alpine. Yes, indeed.
I wanted to ask you guys a question.
Oh Lord.
And then the chat joined in too. This is collaborative. This is a team effort here. Okay. You guys remember those trust falls, right? Would you do a trust fall? Just yes or no? Would you do a trust fall? Hank?
Yes.
He said. But listen, he says that yes. But Hank, would you do a trust fall?
Yeah, I don't know if my lady can catch me.
Well, no, I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
I'm not saying with your lady. I'm just.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it won't be nice
It's
It
like
won't
those
be
people who
nice.
jump off the stage into a crowd, you know, like in concerts, they'll jump off the stage and they'll jump in the crowd, right? Like, would you ever do something like that?
Probably not. Not at this age. No,
RP.
No,
not
I
at this.
know I ain't doing it. I ain't
Maybe
doing
20 something years ago, I'll probably, take a chance. But now that 2023 ain't doing that.
Mandrell, would you do a trust fall? You there?
Mandrell's the size of a child, so it shouldn't be a problem.
it.
Shouldn't be too hard.
I guess he's not.
Okay. All right.
Bang,
So you all
bang.
pretty much said no. Mr. He said yes, right? So to have and to
Yeah.
hold is like a trust fall. It's pretty much what that is. It's a trust fall with your woman. And most people wouldn't do a trust fall. I remember, I think back in either middle school or high school, they used to have us do that for gym. It was like one of the activities. You'd climb up a rope. Like it was one of the I'm like, why would they sign us up to fall into the hands of our classmates? I don't trust them. I don't know them. Why are we doing this? Right. So that's what you're doing when you're getting married. You're like, can they hold me? Can they support me? You know, so that's what you're in essence asking yourself. Question, because when you're having and holding, I believe Mr. He said it, for richer or poorer, right? But we're only thinking about richer. So to have and to hold, you're having and holding their weaknesses as well. So I wanted to ask you guys, what does it feel like to hold her weakness? And I'm not asking you to get personal, but to just, give an overview of what that, how that's articulated and what that looks like. So we'll start with Hank.
So your question is,
So explain how you hold her weakness. To have and to hold, you love the great things about her. You accept the great things about her. You're able to have space for those things about her and for her. But how do you hold her weaknesses? Come on now, you up, Hank? It's getting closer to the day. Come on now, you better dig deep.
I just got to be patient with her. I said, let go and let God. That's all I can say sometimes. Man, it's so I give you an example of what happened today.
Okay.
So I'm going to AutoZone. We not really promoting AutoZone, but until they start being a sponsor of the Real Pressure Show, out the basement, one of the two. It is what it is. But I went to a parts shop, and I text her. I let her know. I said, get your information for your car. So when we go in there, we got to give them the information.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that didn't work too well. She talked about she didn't see the text. So then I got to prove to her that I showed her the text. Then she looked, oh, I didn't see that. So now we there trying to give information and didn't have all the information we needed. So now we had to go back to the house. It's not that far around the corner, but still, just the fact that I had to leave there, go back and come back over across the highway to get there. Like, oh Lord, I just got to be patient with her. So just pray for your boy. Just pray.
That's a good one. That's a good one though, because a part of the definition of love, the definition I go by, love is patient. So that's a good one. R-Pain, how about for you? Explain how you hold her weaknesses.
It's compromise. You weigh it. You weigh. We weigh both of our weaknesses, and you say, well, on a stack of things that people collect on either part of the ledger, does it raise itself or elevate itself to a level that you can't deal with? Right. And luckily for us, or blessed for us, we never got there. So the things that my wife is weak in, it's grace. Some things I don't want to spend time trying to change her if she's not changing herself as growth for certain things. And the things that might irk me, they don't irk me to the point where I have to keep dwelling on them, because the things that work out are so much better. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of leave it there. I'll express my displeasure with it. I hope she gets better along the way. She does the same with me. And I guess over the years, we grow to the point where some of those things don't matter anymore. But that's it. For me, it's compromise, and it's always a trade-off. So as can you live with this? And that's why when we were, in the courting phase, I told her, I want to know how you really are. What can I live with and what can't I live with? And that's going to make the decision as to whether we're going to go further or not. Right. So she kept passing the test. And in the marriage, same thing, So, and I was like, she's cool, man. And especially when Hick mentioned the sex part. The one thing my wife is, she's always been accommodating.
Mhm.
And because she has been, I don't have to force the issue on anything, And as I got older, I'm not like when I was a jackrabbit, when I was 20 and 30 and 40, I went through the years, but it's still there. I know all the buttons and they still work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
And some it's just like that.
You know what,
It's
Mr.
just
He
like
said. How do you hold Mrs. She Said's weaknesses?
I just try to be present and conscious. Um, you know, I'm a sports person, so
Mhm.
again, I've always had to coexist with a mate, backcourt mate, or whatever, teammates. And whenever you lacked, whenever you had a bad game, I would definitely try to compensate. Try to be a good teammate. If you ain't grabbing as many rebounds or you under the weather, I'm stepping in. I'm trying to be multifaceted and be able to do every job that exists in the corporation. And it's just like that in my family. You know what I mean? Today, the missus was doing homeschool, so I took the oldest daughter. We went food shopping. I can cook. I'm pretty hands on. I try to be conscious to pick up where she needs me and don't need to ask her, what do you need me to do? Like a coach, just take a look at what's going on and get in where you fit in, so to speak. And that kind of resonates down to our children. So I really just try to be conscious. When she's having a bad day, I try to have a good day. You guys seen she had a whole hysterectomy, right in front of all of our eyes. And I was doing my show, I was doing her show, I was doing our show, again, indicative of our lives. When somebody is down, somebody else, just picks up the slack, and it's commitment. We committed to be here 3 days a week. And, that wasn't going to stop us from keeping our commitment, because that's what we do. We leaving a documentary for our daughter, and we weren't going to let that be a hiccup. So, like everything else around the house, I pick up, where she has weak spots, and vice versa. She definitely does the same for me. So, I'm so appreciative of her, because she is interchangeable. She's able to, have 50 points when I only have 10. And that's, I think, is what team is about. And I think that's what younger people are missing, that sometimes you're gonna have to take one for the team. There's no I in team and all of the rest of the cliches that go with it. But cliches come from a lot of truth. And if you just start there, I think you'll, have a great foundation.
I agree. I believe being on a team definitely helps you relationally, because you know what it takes being on a winning team or a losing team, because you're going to win and you're going to lose. But it really teaches you that you can't win without the help of others. You can't win without the skill of others. You can't win without the wisdom and the instruction of others. So, that's one thing I think that men should ask women. Like, have you ever played a sport? And how long did you play? How long were you on that team? How long did you commit to it? What were your skill sets? What were you good at? What were you not good at, and how did you get better at it? Because in essence, that's what a marriage is. You're a team. One person can't hold the whole marriage. One person can't hold the emotional bucket when they're not full themselves. So I like the way that you put that. You come from a team background and you work as a team. And I think Mandrell was saying that he admires the way you guys work. And when teams are winning, people want to be a part of that team. You know, they want to be a part of that team. He said it out of his mouth. Like, I want a marriage like you guys have. You know, I think that a lot of married couples, when they hear that, it's it feels good. You know, we're doing something right. You know, we out here, we're giving the knowledge. We're not hoarding it. We're not, you know, keeping it to ourselves. We want other people to experience this. So I appreciate that. So we're gonna go on to a clip. Shout out to Tahoe over at the Shameless Podcast. I could be saying it wrong. Shameless, so Shameless Podcast. He has a couple hard or soft podcast. He has a couple podcasts. But I want to play a clip that he put out. And it has to do with having and holding, but it comes from the male perspective. So I think this is very important in relationships. Can you guys hear it?
No.
No, no.
No.
Oh, streaming. Okay, so in the clip, maybe it's good as not playing because they probably gonna strike it anyway. Look, the devil, you thought you had me, but we gonna get through it. Okay. So they're in this conversation, and she points out that maybe they're having vulnerability issues in their relationship. And she asks the guys, you know, what is it that helps you be open? Like, what is it that helps you open up? And Tahoe goes and says, well, she listens. She acknowledges the things that I say. She points out little details. It makes him feel taken care of. It makes him feel safe. And he feels like once he gives that to her, right, she now has all of it. You know, he can't take it back. She now knows all of this about him. And he feels safe with her. And he, you know, really didn't feel that before. And I think that some men do go through that. It's like you can go through woman after woman after woman after woman, but there could be one woman that makes you feel safe. I wanted you guys to speak to that, as far as in a marriage and from the male's perspective, from the husband's perspective. What does that mean emotionally for you? We talk about it all the time. I think somebody even put it in the chat. He's gonna hold space to throw it back in her face or something. Oh, I hold her weakness by saving it to throw it in her face if she pissed me off. Okay, all right. So I don't ever want to go that kind of. Well, I don't want to go that kind of thing. So,
I saw that one.
emotionally, what does that mean for you guys? Like, how does how is that space held for you emotionally? Because, you know, don't cry, men don't cry, but you're going to have your times. If you're together for 30, 35, 40, 45 years, she's going to see you break down at some point, right? So how does she hold that space for you?
Well, let me tell you real quick. For 36 years, I'm trying to think when my wife saw me cry. I don't know. I guard that. I mean, she only sees. I try not to. I think that's a form of protection. Not to let my wife know some of my inner weaknesses, some of it, or if we have an issue that I guess I've been blessed because all the issues we have, I was able to solve. You know, so I don't know what vulnerability means to show my wife that I needed her to be vulnerable in front of her. If I had a loved one that passed away, well, she'd see some tears roll down my eyes, but she's never seen me boo-hoo. You know, never. And it's not because I'm some kind of He-Man. I just have never been there before. I mean, we go to a movie and my eyes might water up a little bit or something like that. You know, shoot, I cried at the first Harry Potter. You know, so because it was so good. you know, or tears said, man, this is good, man. You know, but no, I don't think it's no He-Man kind of thing for me. It's just that I've never been in that space where I had to say to my wife, I'm having such an issue. I need some support.
Mhm.
in this fashion. And it's not that I'm macho and I think she's going to think less of me. At this point, I don't necessarily believe that. But I
Mhm.
just haven't really been there. You know, I've seen her cry a little
Okay.
bit, you know, but I just never been there.
I want to flip it a little bit because again, we talk about extremes, right? So you're talking about crying and things like that. So
No,
what
okay,
about what about and I mentioned that. I mentioned crying, so you know you went with that. But what about the flip side? So how does she hold space for you, let's just say, to have a good day or the simple things to make even, people can't make you happy, but they can add to it. So how does she hold space for even those things? Because you got you a solid one, RP. Okay. We you got you
okay,
a good
look,
one. So what about, can you shed some light to the folks on how she leaves space for that, how she holds space for that for you?
I mean, her personality on a general basis, being around her is uplifting,
Mhm.
right? I feel better when my wife is with me. Even if I've been kind of sick over the last 3 weeks or so. I've been having this thing, right? But just her being with me, taking care of catering to me, bringing my tea, and sitting down next to me, she always puts her head on my shoulders when she sits down next to me. It's just another level. I can't even hardly explain because she likes to laugh, and
Mhm.
she laughs a lot at my stupid jokes, right? And you know what? So I'm kind of a comedian at home, but she's just so easygoing. So when she comes in, she got the dimples and stuff that kind of entrapped me when I first saw her, and that's
Mhm.
still there. So I just feel better when she's around, and I understand it's something genuine in her that makes me feel that way. So she doesn't have to go. She caters to me. I mean,
Y'all hear that? He used the C word,
yeah,
cater.
she caters to me all the time, and in return, I give her everything, and she knows
Mhm.
that. Right? And the best gift I can give her is when I'm gone, she's gonna still get it and more. So the fact is, it's just she just keeps me in a space where I don't have to worry about being vulnerable in front of her and losing respect or anything like that. So she just makes me feel better. It's just crazy. And it wasn't always that way. I mean, it grew on me. Right, we've had some patches in there. So, oh, man, you know what, man? This is a pretty long marriage, man. No new box, no nothing. And then those things are fleeting.
I got a little bit of homework for you, Arpine.
Okay,
So
please.
next week we're talking about for better or for worse, and I want you to
Okay,
share a good for better or for worse story with us.
all right.
Okay.
I could probably
All
think of
right.
one. All right, so let me
Yep.
let me rest my mic on that one.
All right. So welcome to the panel, Trigger Mike. Thank you so much for being here. How are you, sir?
I'm doing
Mike, what
well.
up, bro?
What's going on,
What up?
Trigger?
What
Oh
up?
wait, did I? Oh no, that was Mr. He said. Okay, I thought I heard Ricky. I was like, is he here? Where? I think that was
Yeah,
Mr. He said.
I almost pulled that, put the kids to sleep and fall asleep with them. Move. Woo. I was fighting.
Now that you're here, I'm interested in your answer for I don't want to go back too far, but I am interested in your answer because I do um value your perspective and I think that other people need to hear your perspective as well. What is the difference between the act of marriage and the vow?
Mm, damn, you got deep early. The act of marriage. So,
Well, you missed
so
the
when
deep
you
part,
when
but
you
I'm
when you
dragging
look
you in
at
the
it,
deep end.
when you look at it, you know what the vows are ideal. That the vows are the ideal. That's the best way that I can put it. You need
Mm,
to stay married, for lack of better terms, to that ideal. What you are saying in your vows is your ideal situation. The act of marriage is very tumultuous. It is a rigorous exercise full of peaks and valleys, ups and downs, and you need throughout all of that stay married and fixed on your ideal. I think the best way I can put it is that some people need to understand marriage as a I won't leave exercise. I'm stuck, right? So that and you said you were going to be stuck, and you need to find new ways to amaze yourself, allow your spouse to amaze you so you can stay glued to those vows. The act of marriage is, I mean, it can flat out make you question yourself at times. It can, it's going to take you through a growth that you never thought possible. So one of the things that I say all the time to let the younger men know that are out here, you know, tearing up the streets, is that I don't think there is a level of maturity that we can hit as human beings until we have two titles. We all know who we are as an individual, but I don't think you can grow a certain way until you're a father and a husband. Until you get those
Mm,
two extra titles, you have no idea the way you will be pushed and challenged by adding those two individual titles to your individual, you know, person. Because we all know everybody has at least found out how to take care of themselves, but can you
right.
take care of others? Allow can you seek happiness knowing that others are happy even though you didn't materialistically get anything from it? Those are the ways that you can grow in the act of marriage. And like I said, sometimes it's not, you have to stay fixed on the ideal, but the situation and in the act isn't always, you know, the ideal.
Thank you for that. I hope y'all taking notes out there. I hope y'all taking some notes. I'm glad that you said that, Trigger Mike, because I wrote down 5 areas that we do need to hold space for our spouses in relationships. And these are the 5 that I came up in my head. It might be different for y'all. You can agree, you can subtract, you can add. But to me, the 5 areas that you need to have and hold space in relationships is: one, spiritually. So some people might not go with that one. You know, they're I ain't with that. But I think spiritually that you do need to have and hold each other. Can they have you spiritually? Can somebody have you spiritually? You have to ask yourself that question. If you know you're spiritual, if you're a Christian or whatever you practice, you know, can that person have you in that way?
Mhm.
Can they hold you in that way? Can they hold you spiritually? Right? So spiritually is the first one. Mentally, can they have you mentally? When you lost your mind, can they have it? Can they have it to what's going on here? I know she not thinking right. He not thinking right. Can they have it? Can they hold it? Emotionally, can they have your emotions? Right? When you're not when you're grieving, can your significant other have your emotions and say, you know what, I know they're in a certain place right now and their emotions are all over the place. What can I do to kind of be the balancer? What can I do to, you know, take a little bit off? Maybe I just need to leave them alone. That could be an answer too. We don't always have to do it, you know, do things. Somebody has said in the chat that sometimes women don't always want answers. They just want you to be there for them. So sometimes it's do nothing, right? Financially, can I have you financially? Can I hold you financially? That doesn't mean, you know, I want to go be with somebody that is a gazillionaire. No, that means financially, if something was to happen, can we be on the same page about recovering? Can we be on the same page that, hey, I'm with you, you're with me, we're in this together? And the last area is sexually, and we spoke on that. Can I have you sexually? Can they hold you sexually? Because some people's appetite is just not as high as the other, like, you know? So you have to ask yourself these questions. Like I said, these are the 5 that I thought of. Would you guys like to add or subtract any? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm
Nah,
not
I think
sure.
those are fine. Those are fine. I would build off of what the fella said. I believe that it's it's only unique in the sense of perspective. Again, I think that, you know, for me individually, time was the tell, and the way she curated my life was that her being there, nurturing, you know, not divulging information, not you know, running and talking about what we talk about, using my, you know, weaknesses against me, using my vulnerabilities against me, all of these things. But that happened over time. And that's what, you know, created that space that I know that this lady, like I, you know, always analogize to her as my lawyer. She is my lawyer, not a legal aid. She is, you know, gonna ask the pertinent questions. She is on top of her job, and that's, you know, that's the difference. And I think that's what creates the vulnerability, knowing that she is here with my best interests at heart organically. But it took some time. It was not just throw all of this at her because, you know, I'm a Cancer, I'm emotional, all of the cliche things that come along with being a Cancer fella. I didn't want to bring that into a relationship with her, although those characteristics fit. So, you know,
Mm.
I wanted to wait before I throw all of this articulation on her, all of these different perspectives, all of these views that I have, because it's going to be unique. So the quietness is what caught her, like, why you so quiet? But then once I unleashed. But again, it's that vulnerability, that space that she created through time and through curation and, you know, through femininity is really what got my confidence in letting me know that I can divulge, I can be vulnerable, I can let her know information. But like our pain, I'm not a crier. You know, I lost my mom very young. I did a lot of crying as a child, and I was just all cried out at a point. So, you know, I'm not a crier, but as time went on, I just lost a friend, one of the best friends I ever had in the whole world, and
Right.
it was very emotional for me. So, you know, even though I tried to turn the corner and turn my back, it was still a time where she seen me get a little emotional, and I believe that that's a space that has to be created, you know, over time. So I might have been a little long-winded, but I
No,
like
you're
that
fine.
answer. Great
You're
question.
fine. All right. So you're good with the 5 areas? Y'all writing notes?
Yeah, I like
Mind,
it.
mind you, these are just what I was thinking, but hey, you know, everybody has their own. Welcome to the chat, Ikene. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you guys? Good evening, everyone.
Doing well. Good evening. Good evening. So
What
you've
up,
been
Yeah,
Ikene?
listening?
yeah, I've been listening. I've been listening. You know one thing. Women want too much.
Speak on it. Go
They
ahead.
they say I want just this little, that little, but then tomorrow they want more little. Before you know it, more little start getting more little. Technically, more little start getting more complicated, much more. The more you give to her, the more she asks for more. The more you give to her, the more she asks for more. Relationship is duty and role.
Mhm.
I think men make it complicated because the reason why we make it complicated is that we give women what they want, what they ask for. We see our daughters in them. And when you see your daughter and your wife, you find it difficult to say no. And once you say no, and once you start saying yes, you can't stop saying yes. It becomes a happy wife, a happy home, which is disastrous. So what we should be doing as people, especially men, is map out what a woman is supposed to be in your life and give it to her and let her see your program. If she's okay with it, you guys continue. If she's not okay, you move to the next one because by the time she sees that 2 or 3 men have rejected her for not agreeing to their program, she's going to amend. She's going to amend for the 4th man or the 5th man or the 6th man. But if you think she's the only woman on earth, you're setting yourself up for failure. And you will fail as a man because guess what? They will take an inch, they will take a mile, then they will take 10,000 miles, and then they will take the whole universe. It's
Not the
just,
whole universe.
yep, a woman will take the whole universe if you allow her to. But it all starts
Mm.
from you giving her an inch. Once you give her that inch, that's it.
You know,
Mm.
I'm gonna, you know, Ikene has this habit of taking things to a stratosphere, and but I do
Hey,
know
bring it
what he's
back.
To
trying.
another
Bring
universe.
it back.
I do know what he's trying to say, and Precious, if you could, it was encompassed in one of the ways. So it may be spiritual,
Mhm.
but mentally. You said mentally.
Yeah,
That
that's one.
is
Mhm.
so that is what I think Ikene is saying, but I do agree with him on that.
Mhm.
Because your wife we talk about, and I really don't like this, and I never really want to be misunderstood on it, but I don't like blaming women for stuff. I do not like the way us, especially as Western men, absolve them of accountability all the time. And the reason why I don't like it is because it's really nonsensical. How are you going to allow people to make laws that affect you unilaterally, but then say we can't blame them for nothing? It's like one of the craziest things I've ever heard. And it's really the women who do what Ikene said, who want more and don't want to look out for men. They want to look out for themselves. They want to look out for
Yeah.
girls. They want to create more black girl magic thing. Where's black boy magic, right? So it's like it's not censorship. You have to understand that under my control, everybody's covered. I cannot trust anybody else's leadership or guidance. We've seen where it's gotten us, and I think that's biological for women. Women
Yeah.
do not wake up in the morning thinking about how to provide for men. Men wake up thinking about
Mm.
how to provide for everybody. This entire society that we have was
That's
built
true.
by men to say, I will put provisions in place to protect my brother's family, not just my own. Right. So that happens under male leadership. And you have to know women. You have to love them enough to say, I can't let you step in front right now. And you need to consent to be governed. I
Mhm.
need to be able to control you mentally in that way. And you need to trust me that I'm not being tyrannical in my control. I'm trying to look out for everybody while you don't know that you're really looking out for self. Right? If I give you the keys to this thing, you're gonna drive us into some selfish, feeling, emotion-driven abyss, right? But I'm gonna keep us grounded, and I need you to trust me. That is a way a woman can submit to her husband mentally and say, this man is proven, he takes all the steps, he's guided by other men who are about something. I'm gonna take the step back and not only listen, but give him the grace to say this is a trial and error job. Become a
Mm.
husband is a trial and error job. In order to get better at it, you're gonna have to fail and miserably sometimes. Okay. I can
That's
tell
gonna
you
happen.
how many times I did shit and be like, I can't believe I just did that. That's gonna be bad. But I know better. And I'm gonna make different moves next time. And I'm gonna communicate better next time. Right. So year 1 will look different from year 5. Year 5 will look different from year 10, so on and so forth. And sometimes I think what women are looking at is the finished product of a man expecting all men to be that. But you
Mm.
gotta realize how that man became that man through trial and
Right.
error, right? So yeah, definitely consent to be governed and let that man control you, not even control you, control the situation and submit to him.
Well, it's ironic that you said that word because to have is to control. To
Yep,
hold is, you have to have some
control.
type of control. You have to be able to block off, entrance or access or entry. So to have and to hold, coming from the male and husband perspective, I believe that you're absolutely right. You're going to have to relinquish some type of control if you want him to have you in that way and hold you in that way. So that's why we're, going over these vows tonight. Somebody said, "Who that in the dark looking like a crocodile? Why how he gonna be talking from the chat? How he gonna be talking from the chat? How is he talking from
That's
the chat?
Bruce.
He's
That's
supposed to
Ikane.
be he's supposed to be on the panel and he's talking from the chat." But that's my fault. Bruiser probably didn't get the right link anyway. Like King said, but I think I dropped the link. I should have posted it. So if you do want to be on the panel, Darwin, it's Darwin. Okay, it's not Bruiser, it's Darwin. I'm going to drop the link, but if you do want to come up, definitely join us because you are a husband. All right, there we go. So I did want to ask you guys the next question, which is, what do you do when what you are holding gets heavy? What do you do when what you are holding gets heavy?
Smoke
Ikene, are you
weed
raising?
every day. I'm joking. I
I
don't
thought
smoke.
I thought Ikene was raising his hand. Are you raising your hand, or are you turning the light? He's turning the light off.
Now I
So
was turning the light
what do you
off.
brothers do?
You said what?
What do you brothers do when what you are holding gets heavy? Because it gets heavy sometimes.
Yeah, it
Reposition,
gets
pivot.
Okay.
it gets heavy. It gets heavy, but the thing about it is this. Oh, is this question for me or somebody else? I'm sorry.
It's for the whole panel, but you can definitely answer it.
Oh, my bad. The question is this. When it gets heavy, you see, a man is created not to fail for one day because he's just like the captain of the ship. You write 99 times or 99%, 99 times. Well, that one time that you're wrong or you make a mistake, it becomes catastrophic mistake. It becomes Titanic. The ship sinks. The thing is this, right? We in this world have come to be so comfortable as men that we become emotional. Our testosterone level has gone down that we think that it's okay to make a mistake. And it's because we think it's okay to make a mistake. That is why we're having crazy ass kids. We're having a messed up family because a man thinks it's okay to make a mistake. That is why you don't, as a man, you don't marry before you turn 30 because of your maturity. A woman doesn't need to be mature. That is why she can marry at the age of 15 in certain countries. She can marry at the age of 18 in certain countries because the mistake consequence doesn't lie on her. It lies on him. And for him to get married, he has to be mature between above the age of 30 because he has to not make a mistake. But today, men think it's okay because men that follow feminism listen to feminist movement, and feminist movement says it's okay to be emotional. No, it's not okay. If you as a man want to be emotional, you go to your buddy's house and get emotional in front of your buddy, and then come home and fix it. Because you don't have to cry. Men don't cry. Men, your emotion is for you to go and vent to your best friend and tell him what is going on. And that your best friend is somebody that is going to fault you, not somebody that agrees with you, somebody that is going to fault you, and somebody that will then discuss with you and tell you how to fix it. That is why I act the way I act because my dad raised me that way, and I don't have regret for that, and I don't apologize for being that kind of person.
Here we go. Ikene done distracted me again. Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah. It's down there at the bottom.
Okay. So when it gets heavy, this is something that I actually do. Take it to yourself in counsel. I think a lot of men, we live in a therapy driven generation, and I'm not knocking therapy at all, but I think we have tried to monetize everything, even the way we process our problems. People always want to bring up either stress relief, mood relaxation, drugs. They want to bring up all types of things, but they never really tell you about your own ability to solve your own problems. There, for some reason, it's for me, it's like driving. I have written books and had extremely deep conversations with myself about my issues, what I'm going to do on a long drive. I drove an hour to get my kids from their grandparents yesterday. So that's 2 hours total, there and back. I pretty much wrote the book on how to slay half of toxic YouTube yesterday, right? So, in that car session. So most problems that people are having, don't do nothing if it doesn't require immediate response. Take it to yourself, come down off of the initial high. If it's something that stung you or bruised your ego, Don't react in the moment. Take it to yourself in counsel. Don't take it to anybody else. Everybody's opinion is not good. Everybody's opinion is not valid. Some people, in fact, when it comes to you and the people that love you, a lot of people's opinion is biased. It's biased. So they'll either be biased for you, like to say, or biased against the other person simply because they love you. Take it to yourself, decompress, figure out, and I mean, go over it in detail. Whenever things get heavy for you, if it's an argument with your wife, go in your own corner and go over in detail how you could have done something different. I said something on my show, and a lot of people lambasted me for it. If you find a way to blame yourself for everything that happens to you, you will be moving differently in this life almost immediately. So even if you feel like your wife was wrong or she's laying something heavy on you and it's too much pressure, go to yourself in counsel, find a way to blame yourself so you can start moving differently and have different outcomes. It is a acquired life skill. It's going to take time to develop, but it's absolutely worth it. What you'll come to realize is when you do that, you don't have the same problems you used to. You think 3 steps ahead now. Before, because you know the response you're going to get, you created a different situation entirely. So that's something I wish more men would do. Instead of trying.
How long would you suggest that they do that? And I'm not saying that what you're saying is bad, because I think that everyone
Yeah.
should do that. But the worst punishment is, what is it, solitary confinement. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't like to be alone. So speak to the person that's not necessarily comfortable being alone. How would you advise them to do that when they're not comfortable with doing that? How long should they do it for?
You said a person that's not comfortable being alone. You mean like an extremely social person that likes to
Well,
talk
not
to their friends?
necessarily not comfortable being alone, but sometimes when you're alone too long with your thoughts,
Yeah.
it can work against you. So,
So, I'm probably talking more to the men now,
mhm,
but by nature, I believe we're supposed to be solution-oriented
mhm,
creatures. So the answer
okay,
is if you don't find a solution in what I'm telling you to do, then you need to seek other methods. But
gotcha. Okay.
most things, when you take it to yourself in counsel and then you implement the strategy, if you can usually see yourself making a breakthrough, even if it's just
Gotcha.
small or incremental. So, of course, if you do not see yourself, if you are hitting that brick wall that we talk about, like, damn, nothing working, you're going to need to employ other methods at that point.
Yeah, because everybody is not as strong-minded. I'll say everybody, so they and I'm not saying that they're weak. I'm just saying that they may not have other options. They may not know what to do. So I just like to speak on different. We can't assume that everybody has arrived or everybody
Yeah,
is at a
not only
level
are you
where.
right, not only are you right, I just feel like there are more there are more of different types of people now. So
Hmm.
there used to be extremely introverted people that could do that and process on their own, but now there are people that tell all of their business.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing they do. So
Hmm.
imagine a woman who it's really weighing on her her husband works a extremely weird schedule. Everything was going good till they had a baby. The baby
Hmm.
pressure is getting um heavy on her, right? She doesn't know if she got postpartum or what. She doesn't feel like having sex with her husband. So she takes it to her single friend. She didn't think to take it to another married person, and they just like, girl, you don't need none of this life. You could be, let the grandma raise that, just getting
Hmm.
toxic advice, and everything they happen to them, they keep taking it to another irresponsible person that's just telling them what they
Exactly.
want to hear, but not giving them good advice. So I'm speaking more so from what I'm saying. I think is the minority of people now. I think most people
Hmm.
put their business out to get the response they want than to take it to themselves in counsel. So I'm just
Right.
reminding people that you are awesome. You can
Right. Take
fix
a
a
second.
lot of your own problems. Yeah. If you would take some time, meditate and
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, I
Yeah, but
definitely agree with you. I definitely agree.
we're talking about the men now. And I
mhm.
think every man,
Right. Right.
I think if you're a man, you have to have that quality in your marriage of problem solving. You just do. I don't care what kind of man you are. If you lack that, you're in trouble. Excuse me. So, I mean, one of the things, based on your question, when
Mhm.
my wife had her first kid, and having my kids is a whole nother story for another time. She was still working, and but the work started to weigh on her. She was having problems in the job. She was coming
Mhm.
home all disheveled, and I couldn't fix that at work. You know, I couldn't go in and yell at her boss. So I said, "Listen, it's time for you to quit that job." You know, at that point, even back then, she was making like 40 grand a year, and in the early 90s, that was decent money.
Mhm.
So I was saying, "Hey, listen, you got to get out of that." I said, "I'll take care of everything, but I can't have you coming home and you're a shell of yourself because of the problems with it." So as far as I'm concerned, the heavy burden is what can I do to lift it? That's the whole thing. So, so depending on what the burden is, I would think just like what Mike is saying, what can I do to fix it?
Mhm.
That's just where my head was. And for this situation, it was for her to quit that job. And it wasn't even for her to go get another one.
Right.
It was just time to get out. It took her some time to quit, but I said, "Listen, I told you get out of that job, and you have to trust me that whatever we need to do, I'll find a way." It's kind of funny that when she
You
quit,
said trust. That trust
yeah,
fall.
we
You had to do
just
that
bought a new
trust
house
fall.
and everything. I'm saying, "Geez, man,"
Wow.
I said, "What am I doing?" We had just bought a new house, everything. So I just had to juggle it. That means no new car. That doesn't mean this. That means this thing. But it lifted the pressure off of her and she was able to breathe a little bit, which made being in the house a whole lot better for all of
Mhm.
us.
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff. So I think you have to, like Mike was saying, as a man, you got to be able to problem solve. In your situation. So I didn't hold it against her. I just say, this is where we are, and what can I do to fix it? And that was one of our life examples. So let me
Okay.
leave that there.
Easy Money Jones says, I had that same issue, R Pain. I told this woman for 2 weeks to quit her job. She finally listened. LOL. Yeah, it's definitely a trust fall. But again, when you say the vows, you're committing to that trust fall, right? You're committing to them again in those areas spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, sexually. You're saying that you can have me and hold me and vice versa. So, I really do appreciate you guys' perspective on that. Did all of you go on that one? What do you do
Nah, I
when
didn't
you're
go yet.
hold- Okay, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
didn't go yet. That's okay. Um, I would say reposition. Like I said in the beginning, pivot and compartmentalize. Like these things, just like in the gym, just like when we lifting weights. But the most operative is have a spotter. I think that's the
Mm,
most operative thing is I got a spotter when things get heavy.
mhm,
And like I said, reposition, change your position, reapproach what's going on, pivot, move, look at it from a different vantage point.
yeah.
Take the consideration of counsel. Maybe you're not looking at it from a certain perspective. This is why we have family. And compartmentalize. Learn how to use a certain muscle for what you need it for.
Right.
We putting everything into it, putting 20 on 10 and so on and so forth. Be a little more analytic. And like I said, have a spotter. That's one of the best things. Even when you're in the gym lifting weights, ain't nobody lifting, bench pressing and ain't got a spotter there. You a fool. And this is what we talking
Mm,
about. Like we not saying everybody needs to couple up and go through, the city and the state, because that's one of the excuses that they use. I don't want to sign up with the state, and it's all about the state. But those same guys on Sunday pledge all their allegiance to the city and the state just because the Ravens is playing. So, again, I hear what they saying, but at the same time, I'm hearing what they saying. And
right.
if something gets too heavy, you do exactly what you do when you in the gym, when you in the court, when you in the business room, when you in the conference room, when you in the boardroom. Again, it's that je ne sais quoi that we don't keep the same energy all the time. We got it when it comes to the belt that we wear, but not the woman that we have a baby by. And I don't buy it personally. You know, I would love to talk about men, but the women won't take their cod liver oil, so we sit in neutral and try to give it to them. But
Mhm.
everybody has some correcting and some self-reflecting to do. But you know, like I stated in the beginning, if something gets heavy, you know, think about how you can pivot, how you can rearrange, how you can compartmentalize, how you can use your resources to help it not be so heavy.
I like that. I like that a lot. You know, have a spotter. Have a spotter. Just thinking about it, like literally, right? What do you do when something gets heavy and you're in the weight room? You have a spotter. You have someone there to help support you. They may not be doing it for you, but they're there just in case you get a little wobbly. Just in case you're struggling a little bit. Your arms shaking. You done did too many reps. So I like that perspective. Thank you. Ikene, did you I think did Ikene go on this one? What do you do when when what you are holding gets heavy? I think he went on this one. All right, so we're gonna actually be wrapping up. This is the last question that I have for you guys. Again, I appreciate you for joining me, giving the perspectives, giving your experience on the vow of to have and to hold. So the last question for you guys for the evening
Yeah,
is what
yes, I
advice?
answered you before. I answered you before. I answered you already. I answered that question already.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, Ikene. So the next question is what advice would you give to someone who is struggling to have and to hold? They're married, they said the vow, and now they're struggling. What advice would you give to them?
Mm. You know,
I might have to give
it,
y'all the
it,
questions
it's
beforehand next week.
so, I was gonna say, it's so complex. I mean, now you can see the issues that people are having.
Mm,
And I think people have a hard time. One of the more common things I see is that people have a hard time letting go of worldly things. That's the easiest way to put it. And people aren't really intentional about marriage. Some of them create a version of it in their head that they think they can make it into without fully understanding what it actually is. Ikene
mhm,
said it best. This is an institution of duty. Eh,
yeah.
I do not want to do everything I'm required to do in this institution. Every day I got to do it. I do not want to do it. But one of the
Sacrifice.
reasons, if you're having a hard time, I want you to realize what else is out there. And I don't think people use the example. The example is out there for you. And because the average person doesn't exercise enough foresight nor respect their elders enough to look out there, they think that they can change. They think that things won't affect them. They think there is something new under the sun and they can go on about their business and just create babies out here and it's going to be all right. And no, they don't realize the reality that's waiting for them. I look at men that have no family or their children don't like them at 60. And I talk to them. You can ask these men, especially men. They're really honest about their experience, how it affected them, and why you shouldn't do it. Listen here, young blood. You don't want nothing like that. My kids don't even talk to me, bro. There's a hole in my heart because of that. You hear that
The
stuff
real.
all the time.
Mhm.
All the time. So just take the example. You know what's waiting for you because those people will tell you. They will be upfront with you. So don't think that you can
Right.
change. And if you're having a hard time or you're struggling, consider the alternative. Now, one of the things that I tell you, for me, it's never going away, right? It's duty. Marriage is like tradition around here, but
Right.
watching the development of my children will never make me leave this institution. To know what they could otherwise be, what's out here and what kids are doing, these little demons in the street are doing,
Yeah.
knowing
Or
that
who
my
else could
kids
be
can
around
turn out
them?
that way if I'm not here.
Mhm.
Oh no, nah, I can't. Like
Yeah.
this is the best thing for them. Always look at it this way. Even if you aren't getting what you believe you should be at the moment, and that's a selfish need for you, marriage is a complete experience.
Mhm.
Because just because a man right at that moment is not being a good husband or a great husband, if he's being a good father, stay. You see what I'm saying?
Oh
Because
yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
things that I want to tell women is that y'all aren't no picnic neither. Men aren't that vocal about the things that we go through with the woman because that's just another way to hear about yourself is tell them about themselves. But y'all aren't no picnic neither. And sometimes we stay glued to that ideal, glued to the vow. And the reason we took the vow in the first place to stay in the marriage. Be like, man, these kids doing so well. I would devastate them if I left their mom. Dudes have these discussions with themselves all the time. I would devastate them.
This is my thought, but you guys correct me if the thought is wrong. Is it true that men who do not raise their children or who are not around their children, do they internally count that as a failure?
You mean if their children aren't raised by them?
Yeah, like if they don't raise them or they're not around them, do
Yes,
they, I mean, and
sure.
I'm being like being real about it, not red pill, white pill, green pill, like literally, like when a man does not raise his child, his seed, his
Yeah.
extinction, his part of him, does he internally count that as a failure as a man?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of the if a man is being avoidant of that reality that he is
Mhm.
a failure, what tends to happen is that we as a group of men, let's say your peer group, we all progress. Time is moving in the same direction.
Mhm.
So that man has peers that are doing their thing. They're excellent fathers. They're
Mhm.
doing, and he realized that he himself, through his escapism and not being a great father and not wanting to be there for his children, or maybe he was isolated out of the children's lives but never tried to get back in. He will realize that he isolated himself out of the peer group. He can't show up the same place and have the same conversations about their family. And the reason that is because a man does not feel complete unless he is providing for something. He
Mm.
doesn't. So once you see other men that have the love, admiration of their entire family, and then you see that the castle that they built over their wife and their children, you know it's a different standard of man that person had become, and you robbed yourself of having that same experience. So you will feel like half a man. I know they do, because a woman
Mhm.
doesn't feel complete unless she's caring for something. A man doesn't feel complete unless he's providing for something, right? So you
Yeah.
absolutely feel like shit.
Let me piggyback off of that, Mike.
Yeah.
Listen, men will stay in a marriage for a lifetime just for the kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Women, this whole notion that don't stay just for the kids is not a man thing. That's a woman thing.
Mhm.
We'll stay. I mean, when my kids were born, that was just another nail in the fact that I'm not going anywhere. I can't see another man raising my children. And we know how the laws are. I'm just blessed that I didn't have to come to that kind of impasse with my wife. That she was dedicated to marriage and stuff like that. So we didn't have to really deal with that. But it was
Mhm.
fait accompli. Happiness was completely secondary. The fact that I had a
Mhm.
good marriage and all that was a bonus to me. But once my daughters were born, I wasn't going nowhere.
Mhm.
And I'm glad I didn't have to even think about that.
Yep.
Alrighty. And so we're just finishing
Yeah,
up with this
yeah.
question. Mhm.
Oh, okay. There is a reason why men go to college. There is a reason why men build civilization. There is a reason why men build houses. There is a reason why men buy cars. If you take away women and children, a man doesn't have a need for those things. We would have been in the bushes, making mangoes, hunting food once a
Growing.
week, growing, doing whatever we want to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just live by the water because men love nature a lot, but we wouldn't even bother ourselves. We will live longer, 200 years, because a man hates to die. But the reason why we have to put our life at risk is because if there is anything that gives a man joy, is to come through that door and some little ants are flying towards you. Daddy, 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 daddy. Not minding if you can catch them when they jump towards you. Not minding. But as a father, you have to catch them. You can't let them fall. These kids
Absolutely.
would jump from couch. Daddy, they'll just jump, not minding if you're watching. But you know, as soon as you hear your name, you got to kick into action. So just imagine what goes through a man that never experienced those, but he has children, but never get to experience it every day.
Right.
It destroys the man. It destroys the man. That is why you see men do heinous things, because they deprived access to their kids, which is unfortunate. Because of the love, or the love a man have for his legacy is greater than the love a man have for a woman. And women don't understand that. They always think that she comes first. Oh, he has to love me. No, he has to love his legacy. And you have to provide that legacy for him. It's not a love thing for us, it's a duty.
It's a duty. Alrighty. Did you guys all answer what advice would you give to someone who is struggling to have and to hold? I believe Trigger Mike answered it.
Well, let me
Arcane-
let me go. Easy Money said he dip out on his wife if he's unhappy in the heartbeat. So he's in the chat talking about, nah, I get the hell out of here. Unhappy marriage is bad for the kids. I don't agree
Easy
with that.
Money is a known
But Easy
contrarian.
Money is my man. So yeah, one of these days we're gonna go back
He
and
don't
forth
mean
on
that.
some other stuff. Anyway, but I just wanted to throw that out there that there's some dissenting the diatribe in the chat. You know, saying he's split.
Oh,
Yeah, he's split. He don't care. You don't care about them damn kids. I'm out of here. I want to be happy. He's a Tia Mowry in it, you know.
and he
Anyway.
said, honestly, my childless single friends are happy with their decisions. Most of them know they don't have the capacity for a spouse and children. I respect it.
So let me say this to these people. It's not natural. It's not natural. Right now. So this is, look at the Ebony K. Williams thing, man.
Yeah.
Look at she's 40. Okay. They're when surveyed, I saw a survey 2 years ago. Okay, 9 out of 10 women say they want a lifelong companion. 8 out of 10 women want to be married to that companion. Okay. We know that women want to be in the care of something. Many are trying to replace that with pets, children with pets. And anybody with half a brain can tell you that's not going to cure their longing for a child. All right.
Mhm.
We have a lot of, we have a instant gratification culture. There's only so much traveling you can do before that shit gets old.
Mhm.
There's only so many brunches you can go to with your girls before you're looking at all those wives with their husbands like, oh shit, that looked pretty dope over there. Right? Women not only want to care for something, you have an insatiable need to be cared for by a man.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I know Easy Money Jones is trying to say, many of them are living it up because we live in a society that keeps finding the most clever ways in history to feed them, delusion on and hypnotize them to say, this, you can do this. Freedom is it. No, eventually you're going to realize, trust me, you look at how seasonal it gets. None of this, nobody talks this shit around Christmas time. Once you
Look
see
how
my Christmas
seasonal it
pictures,
is.
my Christmas pictures will depress you. Okay, they will depress you. My family is gorgeous. You see
On
what I'm saying?
on top of we're in the seasonal depression season, like you're saying anyway. So it's like they have this. Oh, I don't need a man until it start getting a little nippy outside, and it's like, ooh. You start seeing them fall pictures, the pictures from school, the pictures from the holiday shots, and
Yeah.
so you're absolutely right. It's like Ebony K. Williams is coming back. I still think if y'all was listening to Amp on Sunday night, I still think she didn't even want to read that teleprompter. I don't feel like she even wanted to say those words out of her mouth, but she was getting a check, and we know Ebony K. Williams is about her check. So, we are gonna. Did everyone answer this? Because we're around
Yeah,
the final thoughts.
okay, let me answer that. Okay, just like Trigger Mike said, it's a matter of time. I do tell people all the time, don't listen to women that are under the age of 35.
Mm-hmm.
Then when they hit 38, start paying attention to them. Because guess what happened? As long as she's young, she's gonna say whatever and however she feels. Until by the time she's 30 years old, she meets that man that she really, really care about, that she really, really loves. And then all that thing that her mom has been saying to her, that you got to get a husband, you got to get a husband. That's when her friends are all married with kids. That's when it hits her. But then she see that man slip away because the man want them younger.
Woo.
You see, that's when she goes in at the age of 34, she starts crying.
Yep.
By the time she turns 40, like Ebony K, right? She's like, oh, I got to listen to men. But for the first 20 years of her life, from college, which is the first 20 years, from 20 to 40, she wasn't listening to men. All of a sudden, now she want to listen to men. A mother is the one who tells her daughter from the moment she was born that you got to prepare yourself for marriage. Because I know growing up as a little kid, I know Trigger Mike knows this. Our mothers sing marriage song to the daughters from the moment they could retain. You got to do this for your husband. You got to do this. You cook well, do this. That's how you're going to do it in your husband's house. These girls are still 5 years old, but their mothers are telling them, no, you can't do it like that, because when you get to your husband's house, this is how you're supposed to do it. By the time she turned 15, 18, all she could hear in her head is husband, 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 husband. But
And let me add this, Ikene. I said it, I might have said it last week, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. It's not just on what we think or what me and Ikene think. I can explain this to you psychologically. I can explain it to you economically. I do not know why some women, especially younger, under 35 women, talk about getting the bag. You will never have a bigger bag than the married woman. Everything gets left to her. Everything. The men die sooner than the women do. Everything gets left to, go look at the women who own all of the wealth throughout the world. These women have their husband's name attached to their name. Even the richest woman in the world got that way by divorce. So that should tell you something. All right. The married woman will acquire all of the wealth and assets. And one day you will realize that whatever you want to build, however ingenious you are, you can build anything off the back of your husband, not just some man, right? So marriage is and will always be the wealth cheat code. So if you're talking about I'm bossing up, I'm getting my bag, no. You literally can't do it the way the woman who did just what you did, but she also has kids, she also has a husband, they also have a budding business, they also have a beach house in Kill Devil Hills. Like you really got to understand some of the details behind it, because I don't understand why people down talk marriage and then forget the some of the best perks of it. It's weird to me.
Right. I mean, mathematically, 2 is better than 1. Like it just 2 is better than
Always
1.
has been. Always
2
has
is
been.
better than 1. So guys, we're gonna wrap up with final thoughts this evening, and I really do appreciate those who are on. Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm wrapping up with the final thoughts. I know that there's people in the back that want to come up on the panel, but we're gonna keep. I mean, it's been 2 hours, and we have more vowels that we are going to be or vowels. I'm saying vowels. That we're gonna be
Real precious. Check this out, right? There is something that Easy Money said that I just want to address real quick.
Okay.
Easy Money said that without money, that younger girls don't go for older men. That's not true. I've spoken to so many young.
No, go ahead. It's not true. It's not true at all.
Yeah, it's not true. I've spoken to so many younger men that fell seriously in love with older men, and you know what they mostly would tell me is the emotional stability. The older men provide that emotional stability to younger women. She doesn't have to always, like, the energy level of a younger man is too much. He has this high testosterone that he can't control. But an older man has put that testosterone in check. That because of his ability to stay calm during storm is the reason why younger girls run towards older men.
Well, let's be scientific about it. He lost some of that testosterone.
That's right.
Yeah. So
That's
he's
right.
chill. He's more calm. He's learned some things. But in fact, that's what the show is going to be about on Wednesday. You just reminded me. Age gap dating. A lot of the things that the women complain about would really be solved with that. But unfortunately, most of them, it's weird to me that women prefer to date men within 2 years older, same age or 2 years older, within that range. But then they have no patience. You have no patience for a man to grow up into who he's supposed to be. You can literally solve that with age
That's
gap
very
dating.
true. You have no patience.
Yeah, he's not
even where he's gonna be yet.
What they're doing is they're looking at his older frat brother that's
Mm,
45, right, with the salt and pepper beard, who got the nice house and all that. They went to a Christmas party at his house, and she's
right.
wondering why he doesn't act like him, but she doesn't realize he's 20 years older.
Mhm.
He's acquired these things through a long life, through trials and tribulations with his wife. You didn't know that 10 years ago they almost got divorced. You know what I mean? You don't know any of that. They always looking at the finish line, and they need
Mhm.
to concern themselves with the process. There is beauty in it with the process.
There's beauty in the process. Guys, thank you again for being here. Thank you to those who are in the chat, who are watching. I believe this was a good show. Next week, we're doing For Better, For Worse. Okay, Arpain, I gave you some homework.
Yeah,
Gave you
okay.
some homework.
Better for worse. Yeah, I'll write it down.
All right, because we don't need to know all your business, but 35 years, you said, right?
36. 36.
I'm sorry, 36 years. So I'm sure there's a better or for worse story that we could get to encourage people to just set an example. And so they know that it's possible. It happens, you get through it, you get past it. But everybody should have that a homework assignment for next week, not just you, RP. I don't mean to single you out, but you do have
You definitely get one. You get at least one in a whole marriage. You do.
You right. I mean, and
Yeah.
I think that having that many years, and I'm not saying that people that were married 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years don't have that better or worse moment. I'm just saying that you're at a time where you may have had that moment, and now you're at a place and you can look back at that moment and say, "Wow, it really was better or worse." Like
Yeah,
we
I
were
had
at
one
that
for
point.
both. I had one for better and one for worse.
Right.
I don't know if you want to go through final thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So one of the things that just kind of talking about in general and this is really for women.
Mhm.
If you want to be married as a woman, you can't let the man that you are enamored with or love waste your time. One of the
Right.
things that you can learn from Ebony K. Williams, even though she's not really being as honest as she could be, is that between your ages of 20 and 40, you got a limited time that clock does not apply to men. If you're 23 years old and you're in a 3-year relationship and it falls apart and the guy don't ask you to marry him, you got some time to recover from your trauma, whatever it might be, and still be in your 20s to find somebody else. But the difference between that and getting into a 3-year relationship starting at 28, now you're 31, is a world of difference. And if you're dicking around with a dude for 3 or 4 years, chances are he's going to get you pregnant and you're going to have a kid. And when you have that kid, you need to realize that your sexual marketplace value is in the dumpster for the kind of guys you want. You might get lucky to find a single man on his grind at 30, but those days are almost over now. Nobody wants to be a stepdad, not really. unless they have their own children. So you can't let a man waste your time. And I don't know what that time frame is, but it's age dependent on you. Definitely, if you're 30 years old, women, you can't afford to have a 3 or 4 year relationship with a dude that don't go nowhere. And let me tell you about men. And I don't care what none of these newfangled men say. It don't take 4 years to find out whether you want to marry a woman or not. It just
And
doesn't.
he will waste your time if you
Yeah,
allow
it
it.
will waste your time. Let's just say it takes a year.
That's the accountability that women have to have. I think we all play a
Yeah,
role,
yeah.
and sometimes you do overstay, and you have to hold yourself accountable for that. And if you don't, time will.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And so a lot of time we get in these spaces and everybody says men is always about the woman's fault. I'm trying to give women the knowledge that a guy will waste your time. And it doesn't even have to be malicious,
Right.
but you don't have the time to waste if you want to be a wife and you want to have a family. Because just as Ebony K said, and I hate to quote her, your sexual marketplace value goes down.
Decline.
It
Yeah.
does. And
Appreciate
it
it.
doesn't go to zero, but the kind of men you want diminish the older you get. And if you're carrying a couple of rugrats with you, it just goes down further. So no matter how cute they are, it's still something. So let me just land it there.
Kelvin said 40 days and 40 nights. You should know. That's biblical, no. 40 days and 40 nights. Ooh, 40 days and 40 nights, you'll know. If you don't know by then, I don't know. Everybody has their own time frame, but 4 years that is excessive. 4 years, that's a lot of time.
But you know a
That's a
lot of
lot of time,
women, but you know women, right? Who've been
yeah.
hanging around with a dude for that and longer.
Yeah. And that's where, we were talking about earlier, what's the difference between acting married and the vow? Because what are you doing after 4 years? There is no end goal, there is no plan, there is no vision. So at this point, you're, acting married, and you'll never have the benefits of it because you're not on the same page. You don't have someone that's suitable for you and things of that nature. So yeah, yeah. Definitely need to find somebody suitable. Well, again, guys, I do appreciate you guys for being here. Michael says, time waits for no one. It is the most precious thing on earth. It's the one thing that can't be replaced. And I definitely agree with that. You cannot replace time. You can't get it back. You can't borrow some, child. When it's gone, it's gone. Okay. Kelvin, thank you so much. $2 super chat says, great show, y'all. Thank you. Definitely join us next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing For Better for Worse, the vow for better for worse. So definitely join us.
Are we on final thought? We're on final
Yes,
thought, right?
Man, we've been off final
yes,
thought.
we-
Ekene, goddamn, you about to end the show.
Brother's
Okay.
patient.
Oh,
Go ahead,
okay.
Ekene.
Oh, okay. Trigger Mike. So, my final thought is on what Mr. Penn just said.
Mhm.
Before you sleep with a man, and before you sleep with a man, take that man to your father or a man in your house. Take that man to your father or a man in your house. Don't have sex before marriage. I will tell you why. My grandfather didn't have sex before marriage. My dad didn't have sex before marriage. In fact, my mom found my grandmother found my mom for my dad. And I got to tell you this. Men usually have respect for women that they find and marry within few months. A man doesn't have to have sex with you because he prefers you without experience. All these things that men are saying, no, we have to test the engine before we buy. They just want to have sex. That's what they want to do. They just want to have sex and move on to the next one. They respect the woman that says no. They respect the woman that deprived them of sex.
Yeah.
And another thing that I got to say is this. I've always told women all the time, if you are under the age of 35, preferably under the age of 30, find you a man as quick as possible. But if you are above the age of 32, man, Marry a man that is ready to do polygamy, because if you're above the age of 32 and you're trying to get your Mr. Right, you must be out of your damn mind. Marry a man that is ready to practice polygamy, because I got to tell you, polygamy is not the same. I keep telling women this. If the man and his wife, if the man wants to do it and his wife is okay with it, he doesn't need his wife's permission to practice polygamy. Because guess what? Most of these men will not marry women that are past certain age. They will not do it. Men haven't changed from the past 5,000 years. They're not going to change in the next 5,000 years. Men prefer what they prefer. And it's been like that. So girls, ladies, if you are above the age of 32 and the man you're dealing with or you're interested in is a married man, because a lot of you girls deal with married men all the time.
So you're doing it anyway.
They're doing it anyway.
So I guess he's saying, look, make an honest woman out of her and see if it's gonna work out.
Men around the world say thank you, Akanai. That's the men around the world saying thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, thank you guys for your final thoughts. Again, thank you. Join us next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Tonight's show live was sponsored by jecreativehosting.com. Definitely put in the code HCM22 for a special discount on your new website. But we are going to close out this evening. I always say keep it real with yourself so you can keep it real with others. Thank you guys. Have a great evening.